my videos, the living room is like the green background and the orange couch. That's where I was filming before, but I felt like there was this annoying background noise. Did you notice that? I don't know. It was bugging the crap out of me. So I am back in this room because it's a lot quieter in the background, I feel. It's just a lot better for recording purposes, and this is an ASMR channel, so you don't want all this background crap, you know? So today I'm going to be reading an article from Ranker.com. It is called 7 U.S. Presidents and Their Experiences with the Paranormal by D.C. Phillips. Oh yeah, about the Q&A video, I didn't have many people at all submit questions. So I felt like it would be kind of it'd be a pretty short Q&A. I don't know, maybe I'll do one later on, but I didn't feel like I had enough questions, so I'll do that at a later time. I am going to be working on more makeup videos and maybe some other things, who knows? We'll see where the wind takes us. Is that even a saying? I'm not really sure. Anyway, let's get to the video, shall we? So this is a little intro paragraph. It is no surprise that U.S. presidents have to contend with civil unrest, international tensions, and plummeting approval ratings. But the U.S. leaders on this list also dealt with much stranger issues. Past presidents have searched for Bigfoot, gone head-to-head with ghosts, and come back from the grave to bemoan their own assassinations. What? From the early days of our country to presidents still alive today, leaders have had experiences with aliens, psychics, and cryptids. And of course, there are dozens of White House ghost stories. From mysterious flashing lights in the sky to ghostly portents of death, you won't find these paranormal experiences reported by U.S. presidents in your average history book. Number 1. Jimmy Carter claims to have seen a UFO. In 1969, years before he was elected president, Jimmy Carter claims to have witnessed UFO activity. He was preparing to give a speech while campaigning to become governor of Georgia when he claims he saw a mysterious color-changing light in the sky, which glowed bright as the moon. Around a dozen other people saw the light, one of whom filed his own report. Although critics mock the incident as much ado about nothing, Carter has gone on record to state that encountering the bright light in the sky that changed color to blue, and then to red, and then back to white, pushed him to keep an open mind throughout his term. Though he concedes that the light may have come from military aircraft during his presidential campaign, he said, "One thing is for sure, I'll never make fun of people who say they've seen unidentified objects in the sky. If I become president, I'll make every piece of information this country has about UFO sightings available to the public and the scientists." He walked back on this pledge after becoming president, citing national security concerns. Number 2. Andrew Jackson came face to face with the Bell Witch. Andrew Jackson is perhaps the most notorious for mandating the removal of Native Americans from their homeland and forcing them to march halfway across the country to relocate. Bad man. However, he's also known for his showdown with the Bell Witch, a spirit that tormented a small-town Tennessee family in the early 19th century. According to local lore, I love the word lore, Jackson and his crew traveled from Nashville to the Bell family farm in order to face off with the malevolent entity. After a long night of wagon failure, mysterious pinching and slapping, and disembodied voices, Jackson fled, saying that he would rather fight the entire British army than to deal with the Bell Witch. What a little bitch. Well, Andrew, just consider that karma, okay? For the bad things that you did. Number 3, Teddy Roosevelt carried a big stick to beat Bigfoot. That is outrageous. Theodore Roosevelt, known for his can-do attitude and passion for the great outdoors, was no stranger to wildlife. In fact, he devoted a great deal of his energy to preserving the wonders of nature. That's nice. Although his safari adventures are well documented, little is known regarding his connection to one mysterious creature, Bigfoot. In his writings, Roosevelt alleges that an unidentified being was responsible for the death of a camper. He claims that the monster broke the man's neck by wrenching his head back with its 4 paws, while it buried its teeth in his throat. Ugh. Good God, that's gruesome. Furthermore, there is some evidence that Roosevelt went in search of the elusive monster himself, with the help of a Native American guide who warned him away from the area. Bro, how are you gonna try to take Bigfoot on all by yourself? That is insane. I guess it says he had the help of a guide, but even the guide was like, no, you're not doing this, you freak. Number 4, Abraham Lincoln was warned of his assassination by a spiritualist and a ghost. In his personal life, Abraham Lincoln was known as a somber individual with an affinity for the supernatural. As a result of his mother's death at a young age, his own children's death, and the gravity of the Civil War, rumors persist that Lincoln and wife Mary Todd invited spiritualists to the White House to communicate with those who had crossed to the other side. By the time of Abraham Lincoln's assassination, the eccentric Mary Todd developed a particularly strong attachment to occult worker Charles Colchester. Ironically, in addition to being known as a great magician, Colchester was also known as a close friend and confidant of John Wilkes Booth. In fact, some suspect his otherworldly warning was in reality just passing on real information he had about Booth's plans. I never knew this. Interesting. In addition, Lincoln also saw a ghostly portent of his own death appear to him in the mirror shortly before he was murdered. Number 5, demonologists investigated President Garfield's former home. Ed and Lorraine Warren, whose case files have provided source material for such horror hits as the Amityville Horror, The Conjuring, and Annabelle, once investigated the Ohio home of President James Garfield. When the Warrens toured the mansion built in 1836, they concluded that no evil spirits lingered. However, psychic Lita Barisek claims that Garfield once spoke through her, saying, "I am James Garfield. I am unhappy because so-called friends had me murdered." Although James may not be the most well-known Garfield today, coming in third behind the Orange Cat and the guy who played Spider-Man, his story is both sensational and tragic. Number 6, Ronald Reagan took the advice of astrologers. First Lady Nancy Reagan turned to astrologer Joan Quigley to help her protect her beloved husband after he was shot and almost assassinated by John Hinckley Jr. in 1981. Quigley became one of Nancy's closest advisors, and President Ronald Reagan was also allegedly under the spell of astrology throughout his time in office, although he denied this influenced his policy decisions. And last but not least, number 7, Bill Clinton suspects we are not alone in the universe. He also did not have sexual relations with that woman. I'm sorry, I had to. In July 1947, at least one identified flying object crashed outside of Roswell, New Mexico. In the decades since, conspiracy theorists, military officials, and skeptics have all offered their 2 cents regarding the events of that fateful summer. Following in the footsteps of Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton joined in the discussion during a 2014 interview with Jimmy Kimmel. After asking staff to review intelligence documents pertaining to UFO activity, Clinton stated that the odds are increasingly less likely that we are alone. Ooh. Hillary Clinton echoed Bill's statement, saying that "I think we may have been visited already. We don't know for sure." During her 2016 presidential campaign, she pledged to push for disclosure as president, promising somewhat jokingly to deliver the truth to the American people. Well, my lovey-doveys, that concludes this video. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to these stories about presidents and their run-ins with the paranormal. I enjoyed reading this article. Some interesting stories there. I hope you're all doing fabulously well. I'm working on some more videos currently. I'm really enjoying getting just like a bunch of videos out. It's fun. This is such a great creative outlet for me. I really love editing videos. I mean, sometimes it's a pain in the ass, but for the most part, I really enjoy it, especially the shorter videos because they don't take as long and aren't as difficult to get through and put out, but I know you guys like the longer videos. I'm gonna make some of those. I just want you guys to be happy. You're my audience. I'm working for you. I just want to make you happy, okay? Love you guys, and